the country headed toward no alcohol, people read in Napa, read in their paper, country may go dry. But the thought that an entire country would deliberately outlaw life itself seemed impossible to the German, French, Italian, and Swiss grape growers, winemakers, and descendants of Europeans in wine country. And although there was some degree of temperance and prohibitionist sentiment in Napa, nowhere as powerful here as it was back east. They really didn't think it was going to happen. When it did happen, it was a great surprise and a terrible economic disaster. Over 235 wineries in Napa alone in 1919, and they had produced great wealth. Wine tourism in the world began in the Napa Valley. 1861, Charles Krug, a German, pressed the first European grapes, beginning the wine industry. By the 1890s, it was a fabulously successful enterprise. Now, almost all of them went out of business during Prohibition. There were 10 wineries in the U.S. that had been granted special government dispensation to make and sell sacramental wine. And Behringer and BV, 2 of the coveted 10 slots. A lot of conversions in wine country during this time. Now, one person bottled unfermented grape juice, attached to the neck of each bottle a small packet of yeast. And on this packet put these exact words, warning, do not place this yeast into this bottle, or an alcoholic beverage may result. Now, Prohibition lasted until 1933, 13 years of dryness. And by the late 1920s, even those who had begun what they called the great moral experiment had to admit it had failed. And Americans weren't drinking less. We were drinking worse. And tens of thousands of people dying every year from the horrible bathtub hooch made of caustic chemicals, iodine, and pepper. People going blind, and a criminal class created, and billions of dollars given to them. A criminal class which included the Kennedy family. You may know the true story. Our president's grandfather made the family fortune by running Seagram's whiskey and rum from Canada down the eastern seaboard to Boston. Because Canadians, being level-headed normal folk, aren't crazy enough to outlaw alcohol. This is one of the remaining buildings downtown Foggiani Saloon. This is second Renaissance revival architectural style. Now, during Prohibition, this turned into a restaurant. It had been a saloon. Now, if you were thirsty during Prohibition, you could go in the front door, up the steep stairway to the second floor. In the back of the large dining room was a little door with a keyhole. You can knock on the door, the key would open, a voice would say, "Yeah." You'd lean forward, making sure no one was listening, and whisper the code word of the week, which could be, "The eagle flies at midnight." Now, that brick building, as I guess you probably figured out by now, was a speakeasy casino saloon. Roulette wheel, Monte, blackjack, poker, whiskey, rum, beer, wine, whatever you wanted, you could get. A cube of fun suspended in the air, surrounded by all the government buildings in downtown Napa. All these buildings, the courthouse, the jail, the government offices, all right around this speakeasy. Given all these facts, who do you think was in the speakeasy? The government officials is the correct answer. And Napa became known as a wide open town. They would have raids, but we had people working on the inside with the feds. And so often the word would come down, they're going to bust Foggiani at 7 in the morning. Napans would work all night long, get every drop of booze, wine, beer, all the poker tables go on roulette wheels. By the time the feds literally axed down the secret door, Napans would be sitting there sipping nothing but tea. And they'd say, Alcohol, why, good Lord, no, man. That's against the law. And the feds would look at each other and they'd say, one of us is a rat. Well, finally, Prohibition ended in 1933. There were more places to get a drink illegally during Prohibition in downtown Napa than there are today, 8 years later, and there are 5 times the people living here now. But the greatest irony was that here in wine country, people were using wine as a temperate beverage, an alcoholic beverage not intended to get you drunk. And they took dry table wine intended for food, and they sweetened it, and they fortified it, and they turned wine into booze, and people drank like never before. Now we owe Robert Mondavi all the accolades showered upon him. It was his unending 40-plus year marketing message. Simply put, wine is not booze. Wine should be a part of a life well lived. Any questions?